See what's going on? This regular Ravens fan coming back at y'all with another video because they won't let Lamar Jackson go. They won't leave the young man alone. And, yeah, more hate. So if they want to hate, I got to expose them for hating and I got to expose them for telling lies. This is a video. I'm going to make this one short. I just want you to hear the in reference to Lamar Jackson not showing up in big games. I got a problem with that. I got a problem with telling the whole nation that Lamar Jackson doesn't play well in big games. So let you just hear real quick what Skip Bayless said.
Just for the record, before I launch on this is how much I love the Ravens that you once played for and how much I love this still young quarterback, Lamar Jackson. I picked them before the year started to win it all. But this is a big game for Lamar, in large part because he hasn't played great in big games. This is becoming almost a legacy game for Lamar, only because if he plays poorly again in another big home game, especially in his first matchup against Big Ben Roethlisberger, I'm afraid people are going to start talking. I'm afraid.
All right, let me stop it right there. First of all, you say people are going to start talking. Well, you already did it. But so this is the new narrative. Let's just real quickly let's go over all of the narratives for Lamar Jackson. The first narrative was, oh, he's not a quarterback. He should switch positions. He should play wide receiver in NFL. He's crazy. Then it was after that, okay, well, he's going to be a gadget player, and he's not even that type of quarterback that's going to play like that. He's a gadget player, and he's not going to last. It's not sustainable is what they said. Okay, so then 2 years after not being sustainable and him winning the MVP unanimously, now it's oh my goodness, well, he can't win the big games. Because he lost 2 playoff games, which is true. But I distinctly remember Peyton Manning losing his first 3 playoff games. First 3. There's some quarterbacks who still haven't even played in playoff game, really. I mean, Carson Wentz has a Super Bowl ring, but he hasn't even finished the playoff game yet in his career. Baker Mayfield hasn't seen the playoffs yet. Sam Darnold hasn't seen the playoffs yet. Josh Allen has lost his only playoff game. See, when it comes to Lamar Jackson, they want to base him or compare him against the greats of the greats in the game, the best of the best. They don't even compare this young man with his own draft class. Like, they hate this young kid so much that they have gone above and beyond the comparisons. Why is he not being compared to the quarterbacks that were drafted ahead of him? How come none of the quarterbacks that were drafted ahead of him get any of the kind of hate that he gets? They make excuses for Sam Darnold. Oh, it's his coach. They make excuses for Baker Mayfield. Oh, it's because he's had so many coaches. They are hush-hush, very, very hush-hush on Josh Allen, who I like Josh Allen, but they're very, very hush-hush on him because they know it will look bad if you give so much criticism to Lamar and you overly praise Josh. So that's why they just don't say anything about him, because you almost can't say anything bad about Lamar and not use that same argument with Josh. And you can't say anything good about Josh Allen without using that same argument for Lamar, which is why they're pretty quiet on him. But I go back to what I wanted to talk about in the beginning, and that is the fact that Lamar Jackson can't play in big games. That's the narrative that they want to paint now, that Lamar Jackson can't play in big games, can't win them. Okay, so when Lamar Jackson was a rookie, was the game in LA against the Chargers, when everything was on the line for the Ravens, the playoffs and everything, wasn't that not a big game? Remember that game? Everybody remember that game where the Ravens went to LA, a severe underdog. I think the Ravens was something like 7-6 at the time, and LA had already had double-digit wins. Both teams were fighting for their division, but LA was assured a playoff spot, but both teams were trying to win their division. It was a Sunday night game. Anybody remember that when Lamar Jackson hit Mark Andrews down the middle for what turned out to be the game-winning touchdown? Anybody? Okay. What about that same season? What about the last game of that season, the same season, when you're playing against the Cleveland Browns? And because the Steelers went to New Orleans and won, you had to win to get in or lose and go home. And Lamar Jackson, guided the Ravens to a victory. Anybody remember that? That was a huge game. Remember? As a matter of fact, that game was so huge. Let me explain to people something who aren't in Baltimore, may not know anything. You know, because again, this is why I hate the national media, because the national viewing audience are not in Baltimore City to see every game like I am. So they may not actually remember that 2 years prior to Lamar Jackson becoming our starting quarterback, we had lost the last game of the season in both seasons. 2 years before Lamar Jackson started playing, we had lost the last game of the season to the Cincinnati Bengals, both seasons, which ended our season. It was either beat the Bengals and go to the playoffs or lose and go home. And the year before Lamar Jackson got here, we actually had the game won, 4th and 12, and we give it up. I say all that to say that made that game of Lamar Jackson's rookie year against Cleveland, the final game of the season, that made that game huge. Like that was a huge game for Baltimore. I know it may not have been nationally, but for Baltimore, that was a huge game because in light of what we had gone through. Then I go to his MVP season. Anybody remember the game against the New England Patriots, Sunday night game? Was that not a big game? Lamar Jackson going up against Bill Belichick, and he's running quarterback. He can't do nothing against Bill Belichick. Wasn't that a huge game? Tom Brady, Lamar Jackson even said so. He's playing against Tom Brady. Wasn't that a huge game? How about same season? You going up to Seattle to play Russell Wilson? Was that not a huge game? I mean, I may be wrong. I think these are big games. I believe that all of these were big games. I believe that the Monday night game against the Rams was a big game on national TV. I just think it was. I'm sorry. I understand that the game wasn't close, so maybe because it wasn't close, people don't think it was a big game. But going into the game, it was a huge game. It was his first Monday night game ever in his career. It was a huge game. This narrative that because he's lost, and then one other thing, man. The first time we played the Chiefs, Lamar Jackson had Patrick Mahomes beat. It was a 4th and 10 with 1 minute and 50 seconds left, a miracle pass to Tyreek Hill. And then it was a 4th and 5 with about 30 seconds left in the game from close down to actually send it just to overtime. And then we got into overtime and we lost by field goal. Let's kill his no. I mean, we lost to them this year, fair and square. They beat us, but they didn't just beat us because Lamar Jackson played bad. It wasn't like, oh my goodness, this game would have been there if Lamar just had played better. No, they beat us in every phase of the game, minus special teams. They beat us handily. They made our defense look like Pop Warner, and they made our offense look like Pop Warner. So it wasn't just Lamar Jackson. That was a total whooping. Now, that's just being honest. But that's one team. Like, this kid has won all of these games. He's just lost. You're going to lose some games. He just happened to lose them at the wrong time. But to say that he's 0-5 in big games, no, he's not. He's probably about 500 in big games. This is a fake narrative, and I'm going to kill the noise. And if anybody don't believe me, we can go over these games one by one, and I can show you how huge these games were. Now, right now, I'm going to go ahead and let it go. This is Regular Ravens Fan. I'm going to tell you what I tell people, and I'm going to tell you as I exit this video, trust your eyes. Because the ears can hear lies. You got to trust your eyes when you're watching this game. Because people like this man right here in this video, Skip Bayless, will tell you that Lamar Jackson has lost all of his big games. That's just not true. It's just false. It's a fake narrative. Regular Ravens Fan, we out here. I'm tired of the heat. And I'm going to say it again. I'm going to go ahead and guarantee a victory tomorrow, Sunday. The Ravens will beat Pittsburgh. The Ravens will score 30 points. I don't know how many points Pittsburgh's going to score. I'm not saying it's going to be a blowout. I know we will score 30, and we will win. Regular Ravens Fan, we out here. Ravens for life, Ravens Nation.